Hi, thank you so much for tuning back into this week's reading of The Story, written by Max Lucado and Randy Frazee, The Story. It is an incredible book. My name is Lesley Donaldson and I'm reading through it. Randy Frazee and Max Lucado have taken the Bible and written an incredible novel so that it reads like a novel. It's very interesting. We have now, this is, if you're just tuning in, would be considered part B. So part A, we just answered all the questions for chapter 5, and they were really, really interesting. So please, if you haven't, go back to our corporate YouTube channel, which is ITR Polygraph. We allow our personal life to be shared on our corporate website and on our YouTube channel. So you're going to find all these videos there. If you hit videos or playlists is under the Max Lucado reading. They all come up. Or videos, they should all be right there. So please do go back, take a look, and so that you can follow along, because today we're going to start reading chapter 6, The Wandering. Now, I've got something a little new that we're doing today, because I was direct message, thank you so much, for messaging, commenting, and listening each week. It really is very encouraging to me that you would take your time out of your busy day or anything that you're doing to even listen to anything that I have to say. Not so much that I have to say, but to participate in this Bible study this way. Now, something that one of the viewers were asking about is to pray or read scripture. And I wanted to share something with you that I was given at Christmas time, and I absolutely love it. I had one of these before. It's called Our Daily Bread. And I had a different one called the Bread of Life. And it has all these little scripture cards in it, all in here. I had one before, but I've given away so many of them. I only have one card left in my container. So my daughter bought me this for Christmas, and I'd like to share. I'd like to do something today so that this is how I use this on a daily basis. It would be upstairs in my house, and I simply just randomly pull a card. And I just pull a card, and I want to read what God would say today. So this is the card I've just pulled. So let's start this reading with coming together and just preparing our hearts and preparing our minds to hear what God has to say today. What does God have to say today? What does he want us to learn? What does he want to place in our minds and on our hearts? I want to start off with reading one of these scripture cards. And it would be new for me too. So this says this: "As truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord." That scripture is found in Numbers 14:21. When you turn the card over, it says, "Live in peace, and the God of love and peace shall be with you." That is written in 2 Corinthians 13, verse 11. So may that be on your hearts today. And let me just read again where you're going to find that. 2 Corinthians 13:11, and also Numbers 14:21. So may that be encouraging today. I hope that maybe that's something that you needed to hear. It's certainly something I needed to hear. So I'm going to make that part of how we're going to start this Bible study, is to properly prepare our hearts and to invite God into this place where we're going to read something new and fresh. And may we hear it, and may it fall afresh on us today, and have a whole new experience with what we're reading, okay? So that we aren't reading just the, oh, I've heard that before. I hope not. I hope today we hear and we learn things that we've not heard before. May God show us some things that he wants us to see and wants us to hear. So thank you so much for your precious time today to go over this. So let me start here by thanking you. And also, so what we're going to do is we're going to start chapter 6. It's called Wandering. So if you have your own copy of the story, as I know some people do, we are starting now on page 71. And I'd also like to talk about what the time frame is, the full timeline information. And it starts with wilderness wanderings in BC, before Christ, 1446 to 1406. So when I read what this timeline is, that's what this chapter is going to discuss. We're going to discuss throughout this whole chapter. Now we may take 2 parts, so we may have part A, B, and C. This is part B, where we start to read this chapter. And so it carries on. Spies sent to Canaan, that happens in 1443. Aaron dies, 1406. Israelites in plains of Moab, 1446. And Moses dies, 1406. My goodness, reading this time frame, it's like I'm giving up what's going on here. Or it makes you very intrigued to read on. I know it makes me intrigued to read on, but still, maybe I might save that timeline until after we've read the whole chapter, so I don't give away some of the things that are going to happen. Because, oh my goodness, look at what the time frame says happens. So let's start reading. Okay. All right. It starts this way. On the 20th day of the 2nd month of the 2nd year, the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle of the covenant law. Then the Israelites set out from the desert of Sinai and traveled from place to place until the cloud came to rest in the desert of Paran. They set out this first time at the Lord's command through Moses. The people marched out from their year-long campout near Mount Sinai in organized units, grouped according to the 12 tribes named after the 12 sons of Jacob. God continued to guide them with the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. He had rescued his people from slavery, shown them his power, guided their steps, given them his law, and gifted them with his presence. By now, perhaps the people would trust God and his leading, but the Israelites continued to blame God for their hardships. Now the people complained about their hardships in the hearing of the Lord. And when he heard them, his anger was aroused. Then fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. Oh my goodness. Then fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. When the people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So let's just understand something here. It was actually a fire. The outskirts of the camp were on fire. I just had to read that again, because that's what that's saying. And maybe I've missed that. Just as we were saying, may it fall fresh and new. That's falling fresh and new on me today. I don't think I've read that part before, where it was actually on fire. Actually, God's anger set it on fire. When the people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So that place was called Tabernacle, because fire from the Lord had burned among them. So let me just stop there for just one sec. Because when we think about many of the things that happen in our world, we may take a fire and say, oh, that was just a fire. But was it a fire sent by God? Was it a fire sent by his anger that was aroused? That's very interesting. That's very interesting. We don't ever want to think that God is such a good God. Why would he do that? Because he's angry. Because he's angry. That he has justifiable reasons to be angry with people. And here's the thing, the people have just been brought out and they're grumbling against God, and it's upsetting him. That is so incredible to think about. Okay, let's keep reading. The ramble with them began to crave other food. And again, the Israelites started wailing and said, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also, the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna. The manna was like coriander seed and looked like resin. The people went around gathering it and then ground it in a hand mill or crushed it in a mortar. They cooked it in a pot or made it into loaves. And it tasted like something made with olive oil. When the dew settled on the camp at night, the manna also came down. Moses heard the people of every family wailing at the entrance of their tents. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you, that you put the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms, as a nurse carries an infant to the land you promised on oath to their ancestors? Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing to me, give us meat to eat. I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you are going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me. If I found favor in your eyes, and do not let my face be my own ruin, and do not let my face my own ruin. The Lord said to Moses, tell the people, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow, when you will eat meat. The Lord heard you when you wailed. If only we had meat to eat, we were better off in Egypt. Now the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat it. You will not eat it for just 1 day, or 2 days, or 5, 10, or 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils. You will loathe it, because you rejected the Lord who is among you, and you have wailed before him, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? But Moses said, here I am among 600,000 men on foot, and you say, I will give them meat to eat for a whole month? Would they have enough if flocks and herds were slaughtered for them? Would they have enough if all the fish in the sea were caught for them? The Lord answered Moses, is the Lord's arm too short? Now you will see whether or not what I say will come true for you. Now a wind went out from the Lord and drove quail in from the sea. It scattered them up to 2 cubits deep all around the camp, as far as day's walk in any direction. All that day and night and all the next day the people went out and gathered quail. No one gathered less than 10 homers. Then they spread them all out, all around the camp. But while the meat was still between their teeth, and before it could be consumed, the anger of the Lord burned against the people, and he struck them with a severe plague. Therefore the place was named Kibroth Hatatava, because they buried the people who had craved other food. Though God had dealt harshly with the people's lack of faith, soon there was more trouble in the ranks, this time for Moses' own sister and brother. Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife, for he had married a Cushite. I hope I'm saying that right, Cushite. Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? They asked. Hasn't he also spoken through us? And the Lord heard this? Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. At once the Lord said to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, "Come out of the tent of meeting, all 3 of you." So the 3 of them went out, and the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the entrance of the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. When the 2 of them stepped forward, he said, "Listen to my words. When there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, reveal myself to them in visions. I speak to them in dreams. But this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak face to face, clearly and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?" I'm just going to read that again. I need to read that again. That God has really called them all forward. It's like your mom and your dad called you forward. Something's gone on in the house, and get in front. I want to talk to you right now. Or you're in school and the teacher calls you, or somebody's pulled you over and is going to give you a talking to. This is God has said, "Excuse me, all 3 of you, come out here right now. I want to talk to you." And this is what he says. He says, "When there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, reveal myself to them in visions. I speak to them in dreams. But this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak face to face, clearly and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?" It's like you've talking and somebody said something bad about your mother. It's like, did you just say that? Did you just speak poorly about this person who means the most to me? Okay, so let's keep reading. The anger of the Lord burned against them, and he left them. When the cloud lifted from above the tent, Miriam's skin was leprous. It became as white as snow. Aaron turned towards her and saw that she had a defiling skin disease. And he said to Moses, "Please, my Lord, I ask you not to hold against us the sin we have so foolishly committed. Do not let her be like a stubborn infant, do not let her be like a stubborn, I'm sorry. I've made a mistake in what I just read. I'm sorry, that's not what it says. It says here, do not let her be like a stillborn infant coming from its mother's womb with its flesh half eaten away. You know, some of these things are incredibly hard to read. Some of these things I'm thinking, am I really reading this? This is the Old Testament, and it is really, really quite the story of God and his people, and the struggle between what people think they can do and say and get away with and this and this. When you are literally you have a cloud of God. Literally you have God there. Literally he's saying, I speak to Moses face to face. God is speaking to him face to face. And they don't even care. They badmouth him as if he doesn't hear. He says he hears, and it's as if you don't believe that he hears you. This story is amazing. I can't tell you how much I enjoy reading this and thinking about this and pondering this and just really going very deep into what this is saying, because this is massive. In different Bible studies and churches, we would have stopped right there and we would do a whole month on what we just read. Just stop right there and don't even go ahead. So the whole point that we just keep reading through this is like, oh my goodness, I just want to stop here and keep going and talk about it and study that part. But we're going to keep reading. Okay, and I hope I remember where I was. Oh yes, I do. Oh yes, I do, sadly. So let me just read it one more time properly without mistakes in it. Do not let her be like a stillborn infant coming from its mother's womb with its flesh half eaten away. So Moses cried out to the Lord, please, God, heal her. The Lord replies to Moses, if her father had spit in her face, would she not have been in disgrace for 7 days? Confine her outside the camp for 7 days. After that, she could be brought back. So Miriam was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on till she was brought back. After that, the people left Hazarath and encamped in the desert of Paran. That almost kind of sounds like the pandemic that we're in right now. If somebody is sick, they have to go over here, get well, and come back. And the world is kind of on hold. While people are getting well and coming back, get on hold, go well and come back. It is, some things are just ringing as if it's like it is today for, I don't want to dare say it, but for sin in the world. Did some of these things sent because there was sin in the world? I don't know. Some things kind of resemble what's going on here. And it wasn't because God was happy with what was going on. It was because God was upset, angered by what was going on. Let's continue reading. The Lord said to Moses, send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. from each ancestral tribe send one of its leaders. When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he said, "Go up through the Negev and on into the hill country. See what the land is like and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kinds of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? How is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees in it or not? Do your best to bring back some of the fruit of the land." It was the season for the first ripe grapes. So they went up and explored the land from the desert of Zin as far as Rohab towards Lebo Hamath. When they reached the valley of Heshkol, they cut off a branch bearing a single cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried it on a pole between them, along with some pomegranates and figs. At the end of the 40 days, they returned from exploring the land. They came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite community at Kadesh in the desert of Paran. There they reported to them and to the whole assembly and showed them the fruit of the land. They gave Moses this account: "We went into the land which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. But the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. We even saw descendants of Anak there." So that's where we're going to stop. We're just going to stop there. This is the end of part B. We're going to come back and we're going to continue reading on chapter 6, Wanderings. What an incredible story so far. I wish I could just stop and start talking about things, and I so want to hear your comments, so please let me know what you're thinking too, okay? We'll be right back, and I hope you tune right back in, part C, for part C. Thank you. See you right away.